Welcome back. I have Amy Norrod and Melinda Hill with me to talk about Amy being selected as a CASA Advocate of the first quarter of the year and of CASA itself. Thank you both so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to talk with Ms. Amy about being a Advocate Spotlight, and but I want to talk about CASA first. What is CASA all about?
Yes, thank you so much. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. And we are the voice for the children that have been abused or neglected in our court system. And we rely on our volunteers, people like Amy, and they are court appointed to a child. They visit with the child, they write court reports, and they are the voice for that child. And the ultimate goal is to find that child a permanent home.
Okay, so being an Advocate Spotlight for the first quarter, what does that mean to you?
It's an honor to work with these kids. To give you just a tiny bit of background for myself, my husband and I years ago fostered children, and we did that for almost 5 years, and so that's where my heart kept on going back to. So we closed our home about 12 years ago, but I just couldn't stop thinking about these children that I knew were caught in the system. And so years passed, Steve and I discussed several times, should we be a foster parent again? And it just wasn't the right time for us or our daughter. And so this opportunity for CASA developed. I didn't even know anything about it. And so I looked into it a little bit and thought, you know, I've got time for that. I can do that. So that's how I got involved. I've been doing it since 2017.
Okay, so what has been your experience with CASA and being an advocate for these children?
Well, it's not as busy as a foster parent, I'll tell you that.
Yes, there's not much of a time commitment, is there?
Correct. It depends on the case. So I would estimate anywhere from maybe 8 to 10 hours per month, because part of that is going and visiting with the child, which is required once a month, and then anybody that deals with helping the child. Now it might, well, obviously it's going to be foster parents, it could be the biological parents, it may be psychiatrists or doctors, or going to a hospital and obtaining records, medical records for the child. So I mean, there's lots of people that are involved. And so I pull all that information. I'm like a third person looking at all these things that are affecting this child and trying to make a decision just based on my perspective. What would be in the child's best effort, or not effort, but what would be in the interest is the word I'm trying to think of there. And then I give a recommendation, writing a court report to the judge. This is what I think would help the child the best.
Okay, so you pretty much summed it up, what it is to be a CASA volunteer. So real quick, they are giving me the time cue. There is a volunteer coming up, or CASA training, volunteer training. When is that?
Yes, it is. Our first class will be May 23rd. And as Amy mentioned, once you become a CASA, it's not that big of a time commitment. But the training is. It is 30 hours of training, but we have changed it to where it's 15 hours online and 15 hours in person. So we believe that's helped our future volunteers.
Yes, I would
so
say.
They're not in a classroom for 30 hours. But as Amy said, it's once you get sworn in after the 30 hours, it's not a huge, not a big time commitment
but you've
at
got
all.
to know all these things going in, you know, and all the training is you've got to have it to know how to do this job. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We'll have all the information about how you can volunteer up on our website, wbko.com, and we'll be right back.